everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon Over Baseball, where the bourbon is cold and the baseball is hot. We got Peter back to talk about the Diamondbacks today.
And the Orioles.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick podcast, I imagine, for the Orioles. A little bit more to talk about with the Diamondbacks. Especially if anybody's reading the blog, you saw Peter's great artwork with the purple throwback scheme, Paul Goldschmidt.
I had to do it. I mean, I love those jerseys so much. I think a lot of people who had their youthful years in the 1990s grew up with fond memories of the purple and turquoise Arizona Diamondbacks and that 2001 season where they finally toppled the Yankee dynasty. And yeah, it had to be done because he's, I think, probably, Luis Gonzalez and then Paul Goldschmidt, probably second best hitter all time for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I remember specifically that purple color because that's obviously when I was playing Showdown. And obviously the purple looks great, on the Rockies, and it looks so good with the throwback on this. And it helps, obviously, that Goldschmidt's such a good player. But yeah, even the other jerseys, or the other scheme you went with the black and the red, is super sharp as well, because any of the guys in the red pop so much. Even the gray, like the dark charcoal gray, sort of pops on the black and red background.
And I honestly think the white jerseys pop better too.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the black lettering and the turquoise on it. I was messing around with their normal sort of rust color red.
Yeah.
And it just, it wasn't very spectacular. The logo really blended in behind it. And, it kind of looked like a bunch of the other red cards that we're putting out.
Yep.
And we've talked about throughout this podcast, we want cards that you recognize the team from a distance away.
Yep.
And I think the Diamondbacks are going to be one of the most instantly recognizable from your hand, which probably wouldn't happen otherwise.
I agree. I think they look fantastic. And right off the back, an interesting player in A.J. Pollock. A lot of pop, not good with the on-base 6, but A-speed 21, outfield +2. What are your thoughts?
Under 200 points for him. I think he's definitely getting drafted for us. I think he's a good value pick later on. I think it's really interesting that he was considered the 4th or 5th best free agent available this offseason. I know he was like a much higher on base a couple years ago, but that shocks me that, we're so excited about the Dodgers adding a 190-point outfielder. I don't know if he cracks much playing time if you just put him on the 2018 set Dodgers. Like, you're not starting him over Bellinger. You're not starting him over, he's not as good as Puig was, Showdown-wise last year. He's not as good as Chris Taylor was. He might not be as good as Kiki Hernandez was.
Was he okay at the beginning of the season?
I think he was shaky injury-wise. Okay. Just like he had a really good year 2 years ago.
So that's what they're going with. I think
he was an on-base 10. Yeah. And obviously, people don't look at on-base percentage quite as strongly as we do. In his career, he's a 338 on-base percentage guy who hits 280 versus last year where he was a 257, 316 on base.
Yeah.
So he's projected, but he's projected to have a 316 on-base percentage, 252 average. I know they always undervalue on the projections all the time, but still, he's a long way removed from his career year where he hit 315 with a 367 on-base percentage, 20 homers, 39 doubles.
Maybe he just needs that, what is that, what do they have, the humidor or whatever they call it?
Yeah, just maybe getting him to it's not exactly a hitter's park in LA.
No, it's not.
But he's got a lot of speed and defense.
Yes.
And he's worth drafting, but not as much as going to be a pennant run star.
Oh yeah.
Paulie G.
That's going to be fun for you to create, even though I know you don't like the Cardinals having a monster 10 on base. This reminds me of like when they got McGuire. Like they just love grabbing these monster guys every once in a while. But he's one of the best first basemen in the game.
Yeah, and we
easily.
didn't talk about the contents of his card when we brought up that sizzle and purple one, but I mean, right here, maybe the best first baseman in the set.
Yeah.
I know some people are going to lean Muncy for
Some
his
people,
17 to 20
aka
home
me.
run, but I mean, Paul, you get the defense, you get more speed. I think he's doubling at the same level, if not one better. I don't remember. I think Muncy gets 2 doubles, so not quite the same. No, Muncy double at 16. So 30 points less, you get more defense, one more speed, one more extra base hit. I like Paulie G.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Stud.
like you said, if he's not one of the best first basemans in the game, I mean, he's up there though. Trying to see where I have him projected. Let's see here. See if I can sort by A to Z here. I have him projected at 15th pick, so a first round pick, as the technically second best first baseman, because I like Max Muncy just for the more power. But that's it. I mean, getting that +1 is a nice little bonus. But I mean, I like Muncy a lot. Not in real life. I'd rather have Goldschmidt on my team any day of the week. But in Showdown, I'll take Muncy. Peralta, not a bad card. Not a bad card.
Ironically, got traded to the Cardinals in my league. my friend Kyle, who's a big Cardinals fan, was trying everything he could to orchestrate a trade for Paul Goldschmidt in our other game, and ended up settling for Zach Greinke and David Peralta.
That's funny.
And we'll get to how good Greinke is in a minute, but man, Peralta put up a heck of a year, and I think he's going to be one of the guys who people aren't expecting to draft going in, and then in the 4th round being like, wow, this is the best corner outfielder currently available, and he's really good.
Yeah. I can't see where I have oh, I guess it, I don't know why I did that. It like messed up my ranking thing, but I think he is projected somewhere around that for me as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to draft him as well. I like any of the on base 8s, and he's got some pop with fielding. He has like no downgrades. Got 1 through 3 out. I think he's going very high. 13 double. Eduardo Escobar.
Yeah.
I mean, the 7 C speed. Not much here. I mean, third base +2.
Doubles.
Yeah, he's got a little pop to him.
He's got a bunch of doubles, and the C is a little deceptive because he's a 13, which in previous years people would consider a very low B.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he shouldn't. You don't want him hitting 5th.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, like I could hit him 6th with Danny D. I think the Diamondbacks, team perspective wise, they've got a pretty good lineup. Like they might. The Nationals are very good, and the Cardinals are very good, and the Diamondbacks are the 3rd straight NL team where you're like, this team's as good as the Braves, just from a showdown perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they don't seem to be performing, and they keep dropping off as well. But I would rather take the next guy over him.
Danny D is going to be a strong draft pick.
He's got the 8 and so he's faster. He's got more defense at 3rd, because obviously you're not drafting Escobar as shortstop.
No.
He's got the same number of outs, power, a little bit less than Escobar, but anything with the 8, I would rather have him. And only for 40 more points. I think that's a huge benefit in his favor.
Yeah, and I love the double at 14. I love that he's got a triple. Danny D is, and he's hitting 6th for them, I believe. 5th for them, which I'd rather hit him 6th in my lineup, but he's a decent number 5 hitter. And then Marte is also definitely going to get drafted with that +5 second base ability.
Absolutely.
With an absolutely monster bottom of the chart with the double at 11, triple 14, homer 18.
Yeah, I mean, his biggest downgrade is that he's a 7. And, I mean, some people are going to have 7s on our teams. Obviously, we just did that, Gloat for Pedro challenge. If you haven't seen that, go check it out on the blog. But you had to have 7s. And 7s can still do stuff.
Can
And
be
it's
very
nice.
lethal.
Yeah, they need the speed, if they're on base, and he's got so much pop, and you're
Yeah.
not getting hurt on defense. So I see him going pretty high. Geez, with the +5 second base,
Yeah.
and like you said, people are probably going to overvalue, or I guess not overvalue, is they're going to have points left over in such a big draft.
Yep.
For smaller leagues, obviously maybe not, but I think this guy gets a lot of looks, and
Yeah.
I'd look at him for sure.
Next two guys won't.
No,
Which is a
Steven
shame because,
Souza, he came for the Rays, didn't he?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. This might be my favorite looking card on the Diamondbacks.
Oh, mine is a reliever that you have coming up later that scares me looking at it.
Okay, cool. I was going to say, that I have a feeling I know exactly who it is because he's also my, like, maybe it's someone else. But, I mean, my three favorite looking on this team, probably the same reliever.
Yeah.
And then Steven Souza, who's undraftable, and
Yeah.
John Jay, who's undraftable.
Yeah.
And
Alex Avila is also undraftable as a 5 catcher, super slow. You said, John Jay.
Jeff Mathis.
Not happening.
But a guy who's probably going to get picked, Nick Ahmed off the bench.
Yes. So they had great. Did they also get as good? Was it the Cardinals that had the really good infield as well?
Yeah.
So they have a 6 at shortstop, +5 at second, +1 at first, and the +3 at third. I mean, they're one of the top infields overall. Yeah, you're going to get hurt here with the 5 on base, but doesn't get out. So if he does get the advantage somehow, he won't hurt you, and he's got a big double range. But yeah, being the best defensive shortstop gets you the nice +6 rating.
And if you and your buddies want to do something like me and my friends do, where each of you manages like one team per division, like we have five friends in it, Diamondbacks would be a really fun team to have in the 2018 set.
Yeah.
Because you've got the management of, like, do you start the game with Nick Ahmed at shortstop, Marte at second, Descalzo at third, and then bring in Escobar later in the game in a double switch?
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, because I did the opposite, where I get the big bat in early on, and then you bring Ahmed in off the bench late in the game to create a +15 infield.
Yeah, it's like it depends, I guess, because their offense is kind of weak, I'd almost want the power in like you have.
Yeah.
But man, if you got the lead at all, then I'd almost slide Nick in early and just try to lock it down.
And then, but the thing is we transition to the rotation. Also, the three big starters, I was really happy with how they turned out. Especially Corbin. I just in general have trouble with lefties, just hitting and pitching, just like framing them in a good way on the card. Like it happened
perfect.
Time where I was really thrilled with Corbin. There's a lot of times like Robbie Ray was a struggle. I eventually got a card and a cutout that worked well enough.
I'm so disappointed in his card. He was one of my favorite fantasy players last year, and injuries, and man, he's only getting me a Control 2 this year for 2018. Ugh.
Not to especially harm you, but his 2017 set card is essentially the same chart, but he's an IP6 with a Control 4.
Yeah, see that's the Robbie Ray I know.
Yeah, and so he's the ace in the 2017 D-back set. Greinke didn't fall off as much. He's basically the same card, except he gives up a double now.
Yeah. Still pretty good.
Still
pretty good.
I mean, he's a must-draft guy overall. Like, he's a foundational.
Well, both these guys
starter.
are your type of players, aren't they? The 4 1 through 16s.
Yep, and like that's the sort of bread and butter of any rotation. I think in Showdown is your 4 on 17 guys, and D-backs have, to their credit, and I honestly think like this should have been a playoff team when I look at them. Like this is a really good rotation 1 through 3.
Yeah,
Buchholz way overperformed.
Yeah, and I look at Buchholz's cards. He's got a chart like a 2 control guy, but he's got the 3 control, which makes him very valuable.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will find use for him. And then even Zach Godley, he's not gonna kill you because he's got the 1 through 15. But yeah, you usually don't want to go into the Robbie Ray territory with a Control 2 if you don't have to. But like, there's four draftable starters on this team.
Yeah, and going into going into sort of my overall lead, because I only have 4 starters in it, one of these guys is going to get moved to the pen. And it's really kind of a toss-up between Robbie Ray and Zach Godley. Like, Robbie Ray's a tier higher, but, like, whichever one goes to the pen will be an IP2 guy.
Yeah.
And I'd almost rather have the huge strikeout range of Robbie Ray coming in to bolster the rest of this bullpen.
Yeah. Well, I just don't like control 2 guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like Zach doesn't hurt you. Like, if you bring in, if Robbie Ray's pitching you 5 innings, I'm nervous throughout those 5 innings. But if Robbie Ray's coming in for 2 and I know I'm facing the bottom of the lineup or whatever, I feel like he's
stagger him.
Yeah. So let's go to the bullpen here, where we'll talk about the closer first because he's terrible. Control 1
had a down year.
Yeah, control 1, 20 home run. You're not going to draft him. We'll skip the amazing artwork real quick, talk about him last. We got Brad Ziegler, who, again, is a typical sort of not going to hurt you reliever.
Zach Godley.
Yeah, he's Zach Godley. And then TJ McFarland, pretty cool picture here as well. Just a tad better than Brad, so he's got the extra out.
He's your... See, this is a perfect example of the lefty, where his image, like if I was going to stand him straight up, his head, like to get his head in view, and it'd be like either it'd be a tiny picture of him, or he'd be way off center.
Yeah,
because he's the lefty, so I just blew him up instead.
Yeah, a lot of times I have a lot of off center cards. People don't hate me. We're trying the best we can.
Yeah,
but every one of those weird pictures that you'll get an amazing Archie Bradley picture that just we talk about what a card looks like. This thing just, well, I was gonna say screams at you, but that might be ironic because it looks like he's screaming at me.
Well, and if you could sort of tell, he's definitely pointing at his dick. But I sized him just enough that it's like you could sort of tell, but it's still kid friendly for all you parents at home who want to play with your sons and daughters. You know, you're not going to have to deal with explaining to them why he's doing that. But yeah, I saw that picture. It was one of the best high res versions of him. I just had to.
Well, I like that he's blown up. I like that he's screaming, crazy beard. It's really bold, and I think that's what makes it so fun. And again, decent card. So I think he's going to get used somewhere, and I think that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, and it's clear from this team that if there's a reason they didn't make the playoffs and they ended up falling off at the end of the year, it was the bullpen.
And injuries, I think, because I think they had some injuries.
But that happened too.
And now that they got rid of Goldschmidt and Pollock, I mean, I feel like they're trying to rebuild a little bit now. They're sort of giving up this next year.
I always hate the give ups.
I know. We had off topic talks about, not so much salary caps, but salary floors and how they could improve the game. And I think Peter, if you ever guys get a chance to follow him on Twitter or just pick his brain, he's got some really interesting ideas on how to improve baseball, and he's worth the follow and worth the listen.
Thank you, Bob.
But we're trying to make this quick today, and I think you did a great job with the look of the Diamondbacks. Obviously, I think people love the National League and how competitive it is, and they're really excited to see these cards. I think everyone would rather print the Goldschmidt purple one than the black one because it looks so cool. But I think it came out great, so kudos to you. And then we'll just wrap this up real quick because I think we have a not Blue Jays. That's a bad last one. An Orioles one to do right after this for people that are on the blog and are following too. We get to talk about how bad the Orioles are, and I don't really see much upside coming forward.
No.
So thank you everyone for listening, and thank you again, Peter.
Yep.